Hey Web World, Scotty D. Thanks for stopping by to my August 2014 comic book pull haul video, whatever you want to call this thing that I do each and every single month right here on my YouTube channel, where I showcase the latest additions to my comic book collection that I've added over the past 30 days, as well as some casual conversation and some tips and tricks to help you tune up your hobby habits. How about that? Before we get started, let's get the formalities out of the way. If you want to write me an email, it's real simple to do so. The email address is scott@scottydonline.com. It's in the video description below. And if you've ever wanted to become more than a channel subscriber, I've got a way for you to do so. You can become a channel patron by going on over and check out my Patreon campaign. It's patreon.com/ScottyDOnline. You can read what the campaign is all about, and if you feel so compelled afterwards and you want to get involved, I thank you for your support. You'll get some perks and rewards and some bonuses along the way. Let me get a little hydrated here. A little lime water today, crisp and refreshing. So they say. Gonna give a real quick perk out, in this organization that I'm showcasing right now is not a sponsor of this video, but I feel compelled to give them some recognition because of what they bring to me each and every single month. So let me turn on my screen here and let's take a look. Right here, Big Bang Comics and Collectables. That is my local comic shop. It's based out of Sewickley, Pennsylvania. I'm right here in the Pittsburgh area. If you want to go over there and check them out, the address is 437 Broad Street in Sewickley, Pennsylvania, 15143 if you're plugging it into your GPS. Go on over there, check them out. It's a great LCS. Dave and the entire staff there are awesome. They always take good care of me, and I just want to give Big Bang Comics and Collectables some kudos where it is deserved because, hey, they take care of me, so they'll take care of you as well. If you want to check them out, they are on Facebook. I'll put a link in the video description below where you can go to their Facebook page. You can go on over to their website as well. I'll have that in the video description below, and you can give them a call as well, 412-259-8742. That's Big Bang Collectables over in Sewickley, PA. My LCS, and it can be yours too. So, some of these comics were out of my pull at Big Bang Comic and Collectables, and some are from a local convention that I just went to this month. And I want to showcase these for you and talk about being a better connoisseur. Yeah, you like that? A connoisseur for cons? No, bad humor? Okay, I understand that. Let's jump into my first comic for this month. I did get this at a local convention that I just went to, and I'll talk about my experience at that convention here shortly, just in case you want to go to the next one that's coming up later this year. This one is Star Wars number 27. From Marvel. This is part of the original 1 through 107 run of Marvel Star Wars comics. If you followed my video series in any length, you know that I am an exclusive Star Wars comic book collector. This one was definitely on my wish list of back issues because of a few things. One, the cover is just phenomenal. It's just a really grab you cover. I mean, you got Luke, you got C-3PO, and you got this weird purple dude here in the back, and you don't know what's going on until you look right here. And it kind of gives you a glimpse into what you're going to be into when you're reading this book. What I found interesting in this book was that Luke calls this character in this book a Borg. He's a bounty hunter, and he calls him a Borg. Why is that important? Why is that interesting to me? Well, because this book was released a decade before Star Trek ever even used the term Borg in their storyline. So I thought that was quite interesting. There is a bounty hunter in here. Luke calls him a Borg. And of course, we all know that this is the same name used about a decade later by Star Trek in The Next Generation. More importantly, it was used in Season 2, Episode 16 of The Next Generation, if you are really trying to figure out logistics of this. And that episode was called Q Who, and it was released and aired on May the 8th, 1989. And of course, this comic was released in June of 26th of 1979. That's when it went on sale, with some other information that came in September of 1979. But this, I thought, was really, really cool, that Star Trek was not the first sci-fi to say Borg. Star Wars had it first. So if you're on that rivalry between Star Wars and Star Trek, here's a little getcha from the Star Wars universe that number 27, 1979, nearly a decade, or right around a decade before Star Trek used the term Borg, or even Borgs were introduced to you in The Next Generation. Star Wars had it first, and like the Borg in Star Trek, Valance, the bounty hunter in this particular book, was also an arch rival of Luke Skywalker. A very interesting book indeed. Definitely one that you want to get into your collection, just because of its kind of historical purposes, if you will, and just a great piece of cover art. You know, I always say that cover art's not the meat and the potatoes of a comic. Certainly, this is a great comic book, and has some significance to the Star Wars universe when it comes to Star Wars versus Star Trek. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted this in my collection, because I was like, wow, that's an interesting cover. And then when I did my research about this, I found that additional piece of tidbit information, and I went, that's really cool. Star Wars had it before Star Trek. Now, there's probably some dotted line discussions around Borg in the Star Trek universe, but when it comes to who had one first, this one right here, a decade before Season 2, Episode 16 of Star Trek The Next Generation, when the Borg made their first appearance. Star Wars had it first in 1979. So there you have it right there. Let's see what we have here. We have a next a comic that I also received as part of a find at my local con that I picked up this month. This is Star Wars number 62. You can see it right up over there. This is a first print newsstand edition, as is this one. I always try to collect newsstand editions, and you can always tell the difference in newsstand edition versus direct sale copies. The direct sale copies had a Spider-Man face down here more often than not, and newsstand editions have the barcode. There are some that were released without barcode. There were some that were released with diamonds around the price, but that is a whole nother discussion. Maybe I'll cover that next month. But these are first print newsstand editions. Great condition these comics are in. And this one, of course, is number 62. Luke Skywalker in the Farah as he's screaming it. I was attracted to this one first and foremost because of its dramaticness to the cover. But it's also part of a series that is a storyline that spans a couple of books. I talked about one of the books on one of the past comic book pull haul videos, number 61, where Luke finds himself in a mess after a TIE fighter battle, which he allegedly kills a fellow captain. And this is part 2 to that storyline, and a very interesting story plot, a very angry cover art, as I talked about. And this issue includes a flashback appearance of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda. And that's one of the other reasons why I like this, because of that flashback within the storyline. And Luke even questions the validity of his Jedi training in this book. And this book ends with a great Vader page. So you definitely want to get this one into your collection for those reasons that I explained. And maybe there's some other reasons that you might want to have this in your collection for your very own. But I always try to give you a little bit of reasoning why I put this into my collection, why I went out and I sought after the comics that I share with you each and every month, and why they're now part of my lifelong collection. So this one, Star Wars number 62, a great series that's part of a multi-book story that starts with number 61 in this particular part of the storyline, where Luke allegedly kills a fellow officer. If you want to know more about that, go back and watch one of the previous comic book haul videos, and you'll see what I'm talking about there. And of course this one, some great additional parts of the story in this one. Let's jump on to the next comic in the pull haul video for this month. This one I didn't think I was going to find at the local con that I just went to, but when I seen it, I had to have it. And certainly I was excited when I seen this, but I had to really inspect the book to make sure that why I wanted the book was still in the book. And we've talked about comic book collecting in general, but next month I'm going to be talking about some other deep tricks and tips on getting what you're looking for. But this one is Star Wars number, see if I can get it closer in there without the reflection. This is Star Wars number 79, first print newsstand edition. And this one I wanted for a couple of variant reasons. It opens up with an awesome pic of Han Solo, and in the first few pages, they have quite a bit of dialogue going on, and a strange character. It's a Captain Drebble. So you got to look at that character when you're reading this book. But there's a strange character in this book named Captain Drebble. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Say no more. Say no more. You know what I'm talking about there. You got the suggestive hint. No. If you know what I'm talking about when I said hint, hint, nudge, nudge, no more, say no more, say no more, drop it in the comment below. If you don't know what it is, you need to check your geek meter and check that out. But 79 is great. There's a lot of drinking, and I'll just call it shady nightlife, if you will, in this book. I know. See, you hear that? Shady nightlife in this book. Yeah, so I was quite surprised reading this and seeing that in there. There's a statue called the Lost Minstrel that resembles an Oscar award. I'm not kidding. It's the Lost Minstrel, and I kid you not. When I seen I was like, "That's an Oscar award. Why is there an Oscar award in a Star Wars book?" Maybe they got inspired by it. I don't know. There's no absolute correlation between the two, but it certainly does resemble quite closely that. And the story includes a one-page comic within the comic, which is really, really cool. The one-page comic is about assistant editor Elliot Brown explaining how to build a Darth Vader costume. But in the end, George Lucas reprimands him in the comic. It's a really interesting, comical, funny twist to the end of the book. But it's funny, the editor, Elliot Brown, is explaining how to build a Darth Vader costume. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you got to get this book to see that little one-page comic. It kind of is one of these, it was almost like an Easter egg when I got the book. I knew about it being in there, but I didn't know what to expect. I was expecting more of, wow, you can really build a Darth Vader costume, and George Lucas really just slammed him down for releasing it in the book. No, it wasn't that case. It's a real comical twist on Elliot giving an explanation on how to build a Darth Vader costume. So there you have it right there. Marvel Star Wars number 79. Just a great addition just because of that little one-page Easter egg, if you will. Not even an Easter egg, a one-page gift, add-on story, whatever you want to call it. Just a great comic to have in your comic book collection. Getting back into the comic book finds for this month, I happened to find one of the key issues that I wanted in my collection, and this one came as a shock because I didn't expect to actually have it for you this month. Actually got it at the last minute as I'll just call it a score find in an auction online, well below what I'll call street value of this comic, because as you know, I don't really go after pricing guide values of comics. I'll go into greater detail on that next month, but the street value was what I was after. And even if I went off of grading guide, pricing guides, I still got this for a steal. But off of street value, I really got it off of a steal. This is Star Wars number 107. Key here is right there. The last issue out of the original Marvel run of 1 to 107. This is a first print newsstand edition. Again, it's really all I collect in my collection is newsstand editions. I think it's a little bit more interesting to find a newsstand back issue in great condition versus a direct sale. Now, a lot of my newer comics are direct sales, and I've showcased a lot of those over the series of these videos, but certainly this one is a newsstand edition. Check out that great cover art. Even the corner art is changed on this one. You can see here is number 79. It has C-3PO and R2-D2. And on the last one, they put all of the main characters in here. Let's see if I can identify. You got Han Solo, Princess Leia, Luke Skywalker, and Chewbacca up in the corner art of this one. So a lot of the mainstay characters on that one. And of course, a lot of the mainstay characters from the comic in this one as well. Not canon at all. I can tell you that up front. Even Chewbacca doesn't look like Chewbacca on the cover art. Looks more like a dog. So not canon at all, but interesting with the appearances in this book. Luke has somehow transformed himself from a farm boy on Tatooine to a He-Man, muscular-bound Jedi warrior by the time he gets to this book. And he looks nothing like this character. This is supposed to be Luke Skywalker right there. Take a close look. I mean, this cover art is very Scooby-Doo-ish, in my opinion. Everything is very, very family friendly, gently drawn, nothing really extravagant. You even have this weird character back over here that looks like a bug, which that's an interesting thing. You have the rabbits down here. Just a very strange piece of cover art. But like I said, Luke Skywalker has somehow transformed himself from number 1 to 107, being a very muscle-bound Jedi warrior, and Leia stays the course, being a strong leader, as she always has in the entire storyline. Lando is equally as very chiseled, if I may say so, in this book. A Boba Fett-looking character makes an early appearance, but they don't identify his name or its name in the book. So I thought that was very interesting because we know, Boba Fett supposedly dies in part of the original trilogy, but we all know now that Disney has mentioned in very soft releases that they are going to make a Boba Fett character focused movie in one of the upcoming Star Wars movies. So there you have it right there. Some weirdness in the Star Wars universe. Boba Fett makes a strange appearance in this one, yet they don't identify the character as Boba Fett, but it certainly looks like Boba Fett. Han and Chewie are back, as is R2 and 3PO in this book, as well as you would imagine in the last book in the entire series. We've seen Dani make many appearances in the original 1-107, and she continues in this last book. And a character named Lady Lumia makes an appearance in this book, a dark Jedi trained by Vader, apparently, in this book. And, of course, being the last book in the original 1-107 run, it's a peaceful ending, as we certainly expected it. True to the time that the comic was written, as it was the finale issue to the original Marvel Star Wars run. And this book was published in September of 1986. So some very interesting facts on this one for you right there. I just thought it was very interesting. Again, I got this for a steal. I felt bad for the seller. Not really, but obviously they didn't know what they had. And I got this for a steal, and I thank them for that because it's now part of my collection forever and ever and ever. I thank you so much for making that auction possible and for me to be the winner. So I'm not going to release the seller's name. And then, of course, the last two comics of my pull or haul for this month. It's a pull haul because it depends on where I get it. It's either a haul from an auction or a con, or it's a pull from my LCS, which, as I talked about earlier, let's pull it back up once again. My LCS is Big Bang Comics and Collectables, 437 Broad Street, Sewickley, Pennsylvania, 15143. Go on over there, tell Dave you seen it right here on my channel, right here on the Star Wars monthly comic book pull haul videos with Scotty D. Let them know that you've seen it right here. This one right here was a sad book for me because it's an ending to a series run from Dark Horse. We all know that Dark Horse is losing the rights to produce Star Wars comics at the end of this year. In 2015, Marvel picks up the reins once again. Some great excitement around 3 comics being released from Disney almost right away. I talked about those, I believe, on last month's video, so go check that out. This one right here is Star Wars number 20, which is the last issue out of volume number 2, Star Wars from Dark Horse. A good comic. I'll say the entire series 1 through 20 has been a very enjoyable run. Not canon in any way, shape, or form, but as close to canon as I would expect out of a non-canon book. I don't like a lot of the off-the-beaten-path EU that's been released that starts to introduce weird characters and whatnot that just don't seem like they fit. This one, they use the original characters. In fact, heck, even the original likenesses of the original characters on this last issue with Luke and Leia and Han Solo and Chewie and R2 and 3PO right here. A bright sender to the universe. I'm not going to spoil a story on this one because it's just been released this month. Definitely go out there and get this one. Get all 20 for that matter. Add it to your collection. Even though it's not canon, definitely a very enjoyable storyline. A little lackluster on number 20, but still in overall, when you're looking at from a collective standpoint from the entire series run, definitely a great comic to have in your collection and a great series to have if you are a very hardcore Star Wars fan. And last but not least, another sad moment in my comic book pull at my LCS is this one right here, Star Wars Darth Maul, the Son of Dothamer, number 4. 4 of 4 in the short series run, which was the comic book adaptation of a non-aired cartoon of the Clone Wars. So I thought that this was interesting because they do stay very true to the cartoonish drawing, not kiddish at all. Definitely some great artwork in here, great color, great storyline. Definitely a must for you. This series is canon. To my knowledge, it's canon. So it's definitely one you want to have in your collection. It's only 4 comics. Go out there and grab them. If you're a variant cover fan, there's some cool variants to this series as well. So this one right here, Darth Maul, the son of Dothamer, number 4. I like this one because of some interesting insight into how the heck is Darth Maul still alive? You know, right? He got cut in half in the Phantom Menace, falls down the shaft. We think he's dead forever. He comes back in this book series. How's that even possible? Well, you find out a little bit of insight into how Darth Maul still survived. And also, it could be a precursor of maybe a movie down the road with Darth Maul making an additional appearance. Hopefully we'll be able to see Ray Park take the screen once more, donning on the horns and the makeup and taking up the screen as Darth Maul once again. So definitely one to add to your collection. Darth Maul, the son of Dothamer, Star Wars, number 4 of 4 in this short series run from Dark Horse. And that is my entire pull for the entire month of August, my entire haul for the month of August. But now it's sad because Dark Horse doesn't really have anything exciting going out with the rest of the calendar year for Star Wars. They've got some trade paperbacks that are going to be released, which, in my opinion, is really sad and really misses the mark to punch it home. Given that they're losing the licenses at the end of this year, they could have done a lot better job releasing some comics over the next 3 months to really satisfy the palate for us Star Wars fans out here. But they're leaving us very lackluster. Not a whole lot going on. They just released the hardback to The Star Wars, which was the comic book adaptation of the story of Star Wars, but before it ever released to the movies from Episode 4. That got released to hardback book. I'll put a link in the video description below if you're all about that and you're interested in that. But definitely, Dark Horse, you missed the mark being able to drive it home for us true Star Wars fans. So these are the last Dark Horse comics that I think I'm going to add. I have an idea of what I might add next month just to keep my palette going for the next month or so, you know, with some Star Wars comics. Definitely I have some back issues that I'm still in search for that I'm going to be hunting down and trying to bring to you in the upcoming month. But let's get on to some discussions around being a better connoisseur. You're probably asking yourself, what is this guy talking about when he says being a better connoisseur? It's a play on words, you know? Connoisseur being an expert or specialist, and connoisseur, comic conventions, connoisseur. It sounded a lot funnier when I said it to myself. Maybe I should have asked you first, right? Anyways, you can be a better connoisseur when you are planning on going to a convention. If you are a veteran of conventions, this probably doesn't apply to you, but for a lot of the newbies or rookies going to your first convention, these tips and tricks and hints might be very valuable to you in your overall experience at the convention or conference that you are wanting to attend. I happen to be right here in Pittsburgh. We have a locally produced convention that happens a couple times a year here, thank goodness, because they do a really good job at it. And there are some other big name conventions, recognizable nationwide, that also are here in Pittsburgh. So the first thing that I can give you a hint when it comes to going to conventions and being a better connoisseur is research the con that you want to go to. But kind of do it in two ways. Anybody can Google anything and find out anything you really want to. If it's out there, you can Google it, right? But also pay attention to how the con promotes itself, right? At your LCS, in local establishments around the area. It doesn't even have to be a comic store, because these cons are not all about comics. They have other things happening in them. So you can take a step back and start to learn more about the event by almost not trying to learn more about the event, if you know what I mean. If you don't, like I said, do the research on your own to conventions in your area, but also pay attention to how that convention or conference promotes itself. Are they really eager to get their event known and recognized to the community? Or are they the type of con that assumes that you already know about them, that assumes that you're going to show up, and that assumes that you know where to find their information? Those types of cons, in my opinion, are a little on the arrogant side. I'm not going to name any names on them, but there are cons out there that don't do a really good job at promoting themselves. And there are other cons out there that do a fantastic job at promoting themselves. The one that I happened to go to recently this month in August 2014 was SteelCity Con. It happened at the beginning of the month. I saved up my thoughts around my experience at that event for this video because I thought it was worthy to share with you as a tips and trick. Let me take a quick swig here. I always say it's good to stay hydrated when you're making videos. So I don't want to get long-winded on this, but I think there's some very good tips and tricks that you can take away from this video when you are planning on going to your first con. First and foremost, like I said, research it. Find out where it is, when it is, and then also find out how that con promotes itself. And you can simply do that by just sitting back and watching. If they promote themselves real well, it's probably going to be a really good experience because they want people to know about them. If it's not promoted so well, I can't tell you what it's going to be like. I tend to steer clear of cons that don't take the time to let me know about them. I don't want to assume that the conference is going to be good. I don't want to assume that it's happening. I want somebody to be promoting it to me as a consumer of their conference or convention. I want to know about it. I'm a patron. Because more often than not, these conferences and conventions have door fees to get in. So you want to find out about it, when and where it is. Find out if it's going to be a family-friendly event. If you're not quite sure on how to figure that out, a lot of these cons have websites, Facebook pages, Twitter accounts, email accounts, phone numbers that you can reach out to them directly and ask your questions. One of them, if you are planning on bringing in an entire family, is find out if it's going to be a family-friendly convention. More often than not, these cons have cosplay or costume play happening at them, which sometimes people are scantily clad and dressed. And I'll leave your imagination to fill in the blanks on that. We heard about some of the problems at some of the other Comic-Cons across the nation this past summer. So you want to find out if it's going to be a family-friendly event. More often than not, it will be, but you just want to ask that. Find out the door fee. If you're looking for a free conference, if there's a door fee, that may be a reason why you don't want to go. I don't know. It's completely up to you. But if there is a door fee, which I can tell you more often than not, there is, there are more often than not packages that you can get. They're typically 3-day packages where you can save some money on the door fees. You might want to get a 3-day package if you plan on going and taking in the entire convention. Have a game plan when you are going to these cons. I have a mental game plan when I go to the cons, as well as a written game plan if I'm out for getting something. I'll have a list of, I want this comic or that collectible or whatever, and there's a reason why I want it. Here it is. And I also do the research on that item that I'm looking to pick up while I'm at the con if I happen to find it, because I want to know about that product or item, or book, because you don't want to overpay. You know, a lot of times if you go to a booth and you're looking to pick up something, whether it be a collectible toy, an action figure, a comic, whatever it is, if you don't know the street value of that product, you might overpay. You know, you could whip out your smartphone if you have one while you're at the con and look up the value of wherever you look up your prices at. But having that in your head ahead of time is going to help you be a better connoisseur. And I know this because every time I go in, more often than not, what I'm after is back issues of comics. And I know what the comic is, why I want that comic, the range of street value for that comic when I get to the booth and start to discuss prices with the seller. Because more often than not, what I've experienced is two things. One, the seller's very open to negotiations. And two, there's the person that whips out a pricing guide and says, no, see here, on this page, your comic is worth this much, and that's why I'm selling it for that much. And I typically don't buy into that whole concept. These price guides are printed once, and they're not updated until the next revision of the price guide. So unless that price guide was printed out the day before or the week before the conference, in my opinion, it holds very little weight. Street value, in my opinion, is what holds the weight. So I do my homework ahead of time of knowing what I could get that book for on average outside of the con. And I present facts with my discussion to the seller. And I don't do it in a derogatory manner. I do it in a very respectable manner. Because they have to make money and they have a break point. But I know what I'm willing to spend. So that gets into my next tip and trick is have a budget. Know what you want to spend while you're at the con, because there's so many other things happening at the con. If you're planning on spending an all-day affair there, you might want to eat there, you might want to drink there, you might want to buy some things there, you might want to get some autographs there. If you're going to get a book certified and witnessed, you are going to pay for potentially a signature and the certified procedures of your choice that might be there. Meet and greets sometimes charge, sometimes they don't. Pictures, sometimes they charge and sometimes they don't. So you want to know this up front and establish a budget before you walk in the door so you don't find yourself at the button slot machine. There's a slot machine at every convention. You didn't know that? It's called an ATM. You go there and you punch some buttons and then you get money out. And it's that addictive because if you don't go in there with a budget and stick to the budget, you keep going back to that one screen monster and you keep pulling money out. Before you know it, you've way overspent. And at no point in time should your hobby impact your life financially in a negative manner. It should bring joy and fun and liberation and just happiness to you. So go in there with a budget in mind and stick to that budget. If you go to that budget peak, stop. There's nothing that says you got to buy that at that con. You know, you'll find it again at the next con, perhaps, or in another manner through an auction or through a personal private sale. But just go in there with a budget. When you go in the door for the very first time, with your budget, with your plan in mind, what you want to get out of this con, walk the entire floor the first time. Just do me a favor, just walk the floor. You know, go through all the booths, look at how everything is set up, observe the merchandise for sale, walk through the artist row, the writer row, the celebrity rows, and just walk around. Don't spend a dime for the first hour that you're at a convention. walk around and observe as much as you can. Take notes, whether it's on paper or just a mental note, of where things are, because then you can strategically work the floor later, right? If you're going to spend 3 days there, don't hammer down on the first day. Enjoy the convention and everything that it has to offer. Walk the floor, take notes, and then go back after that first hour and start to look at some of the items that you want to buy a little bit closer. See what tables might have the same item that you want, whether it be a comic or a collectible, an action figure, one-off item that you can only buy at the conventions. Because there's a lot of unique one-off items that you can only get at these conventions. And you want to know where they're at and what the prices are. And make sure that there's not a similar or like item there on the floor as well. We found some really unique one-off items at the SteelCity Con that we just went to, and it was just a very enjoyable experience because it was for my son, who's heavily into Minecraft, and he found some really cool Minecraft stuff. So we walked around. We didn't buy it right away. We walked around and made sure that nobody else was selling it, right? And when we went back, they had what he wanted. I told him, just calm down, it'll be there. If you're going to take part in the cosplay, be aware of all of the cosplay events that are going to happen throughout the con, because they don't always happen at one time. They may be spread out throughout the entire event, and sometimes there is a big contest somewhere during the event, whether it be in the beginning, middle, or end of the event, where you can take the stage and be judged and win prizes and bragging rights and whatnot. It's just a lot of fun. My son, dressed up as a Minecraft character, was kind of a B-list celebrity, and a lot of people were taking pictures with him. It was just a great time. So the next thing is, if you are going to go in for signatures or meet and greets or photo sessions, know when they're happening and what the fees are for those, because like I said, some are free, some are not, some are very willing, and some are just they stay to the black and white of the contract that they have at the convention. So this past conference, we got to meet some great celebrities and see some great celebrity appearances. And so one of the ones I want to share with you is one where my little boy and I, my family, we have multiple kids, and my little boy and I were just hanging out in the middle of the floor of where the celebrities were at. We were just playing. We weren't talking to anybody. We were nowhere near any of the booths. We were kind of in the middle of the floor. And my little boy, who I had in my arm, looks over and points. And I happened to turn around because my back was faced. And when I turned around, that person was pointing back. And they were kind of joking and having fun with each other, and that celebrity came out into the middle of the floor where we were at, and that celebrity is Mindy Lee Sterling, who's Frau Farbizna from Austin Powers, also has appeared on many kids movies and kids TV series rather, and my older son had a great time meeting Mindy, but Mindy came out to us, and it was a very personal experience. Just a great, down-to-earth lady, a phenomenal actress, and we hung out. God, it felt like 15, 20 minutes just hanging out together. She played with my son and just had a good time, and they giggled and they laughed, and she gave him a big hug, and then when we were about to leave, I just asked. I said, "Would you mind taking a picture with my little boy and my older boy?" And she absolutely, I'd love to. And she came out and we took a picture with them. And it was just a really great experience. And then so my suggestion is if you are going to meet celebrities, sometimes you will meet people that you didn't even intend to meet. There were a lot of great celebrities at this past convention. They had some Power Rangers there. They had some wrestlers there. They had some TV actors. Just a great time at SteelCity Con this past month. We also got to meet another great part of me growing up, as well as my kids. A big fan of his work. We got to meet LeVar Burton, who played Geordi LaForge on Star Trek The Next Generation, as well as before that, he was Reading Rainbow and many other movies. So it was a great time to meet LeVar Burton, a very personal guy. I got to tell you, this guy was just very kind and polite to me and my family. It was just a great experience. My son, just growing up and starting to enjoy books now, my little one, he's kind of a new generation of Reading Rainbow. So that was kind of fun to meet LeVar Burton for that. I watched Reading Rainbow a long time ago, as well as watching LeVar Burton in his entire career be who he is today. Just a phenomenal stand-up gentleman. I really enjoyed meeting him. My family enjoyed meeting him. We got a chance to have a personal moment as a family and talk with LeVar Burton. And we even got a picture with him. So it was a great time. One of the highlights of my experience at SteelCity Con was that we got to meet a person who, when I seen that they were going to be at SteelCity Con, I was like, oh, that's the person I want to meet. And I got to meet Lando Calrissian, Mr. Billy D. Williams himself. Very suave and debonair gentleman. Very quiet gentleman, but very personal in being able to approach him. Just a great experience for me being a Star Wars fan. I didn't want to expose how geeked out I was, but I certainly inside I was like a bubbling idiot. But I just had a great time meeting Billy D. Williams. Like I said, a very suave and debonair stand-up gentleman. Very kind to my family. We got a chance to take a picture with Billy D. Williams. It was just a great experience. So, and we got everything we wanted out of the convention. We even got a chance to get a picture with the 501st. If you don't know who the 501st is, you've got to look them up. I'll put a link in the video description below to the 501st. Just a phenomenal organization, beyond geeking me out every time I see them. Just a phenomenal organization, the 501st. Check out them in the link below. Just so many things happening at SteelCity Con. Thank you for making it possible. They're not a sponsor of this video, but I wanted to give you my experience of SteelCity Con this past month, because they've got another one coming up in December. The next SteelCity Con, let me look here, is December 5th, 6th, and 7th of 2014. Some phenomenal actors and happenings at this upcoming SteelCity Con. If you are a big fan of Happy Days, you're going to love this. Henry Winkler is going to be there. Yeah, the Fonz himself. Hey! It was funny because Penny Marshall was at this SteelCity Con that I just went to. Cindy Williams was at the one before that. I also went to that SteelCity Con. So now we get Fonzie. He's going to be at SteelCity Con, so it's going to be great to see Henry Winkler. Let's see, Karen Parsons from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Yeah? Hillary? Yeah? If you're a big fan of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you get a chance to meet and greet Karen Parsons. Let's see, Austin St. John. If you don't recognize the name, the original Red Power Ranger, going to be there at SteelCity Con. Terry Farrell from Star Trek is going to be there. Linda Blair is going to be at the upcoming SteelCity Con in December on the 5th, 6th, and 7th. So you want to check out that. If you are a big horror movie fan, you got to love Linda Blair. Let's see. The gentleman who played Jason Voorhees from the Freddy vs. Jason movie, Ken Kersinger, is going to be at the upcoming SteelCity Con, so you want to check that out. Let's see, Tom Savini, horror film actor, director, and stuntman, is going to be at SteelCity Con. He was at this past SteelCity Con as well. Let's see who else is going to be there. Mark Dodson. I don't know who he is. You should look him up. big name inside of the Star Wars universe. You're going to have to go over and check it out. Let's see who else is going to be there. Oh, a bunch of the cast of The Christmas Story. You'll shoot your eye out. Your tongue will stick to the pole. Yeah, a lot of those characters are going to be there, including Scott Schwartz is going to be there. Zach Ward, Yano Anaya. Hopefully I'm not butchering your last name, Yano. And Ian Petrella. All going to be at SteelCity Con. And, of course, my two key people who I want to see at SteelCity Con, Michael Dorn. Worf from Next Generation is going to be at SteelCity Con in December. And Mr. Peter Mayhew is going to be at SteelCity Con. Chewbacca! It's going to be so awesome. SteelCity Con, December 5th, 6th, and 7th. They are not a sponsor of this video. Just giving them some love because of a great convention that they put on, in conference that they put on. Just a great time, a true family event. You can go out there and just have a great time. It'll be near the Christmas time, so it'll be great to see the characters from The Christmas Story, as well as some of the other celebrities that are going to be on hand. Me geeking out with Chewbacca, Mr. Peter Mayhew, that's going to be my highlight of my day. And, of course, Michael Dorn is going to be my second highlight of my day. Mark Dodson. I do want to see Mark Dodson. At least tell him hello, thank him for his part in the Star Wars franchise, and some of his other work that he's done. The name is still slipping you, right? Look it up. I'm not going to spoil everything for you. Mark Dodson's going to be at SteelCity Con. So that's my experience with SteelCity Con. Some suggestions, some hints, some tips, some tricks on how to be a better connoisseur. Hopefully you can benefit from these, and hopefully you get excited about your first con, whether it be SteelCity Con in December. If you are in, around, or near Pittsburgh, check it out. I don't care if the roads are snowing. I don't care if there's ice everywhere. Get down there. Check it out. There's some other cons that are happening in the area coming up. Definitely check those out if they are of interest to you. And, of course, if you ever want to drop me an email, you can do so. I'll be happy to share any more stories and experiences with you and answer any questions. My email address, scott@scottydonline.com. If you would please share this video with somebody that you know. It helps get the word about what I do here on my channel out to other people, and that I greatly appreciate. So share the videos that you like with other people that you know and you respect, and they would enjoy it as well. Comment below. I'd love to hear from you, your experience at your con. What is your tip and trick and your hint for being a better connoisseur at conventions? Whether you're a veteran or a noob, we can all learn something new from each other. So comment below. I'd love to hear from you. I'm very active in the comment threads on all of my videos. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please do so. I would appreciate you being right there, clicking that subscribe button right now. And after you click the subscribe button, go right next to the subscribe button and click on the gear icon and enable updates. It lets you know when new videos are posted and published here on my channel. If you are already subscribed to this channel, thank you so very, very much. And if you ever wanted to take it a step above being a channel subscriber, I've got a way for you to do so. Get some bonuses, perks, and rewards along the way. You can become a channel patron. It's real simple to do so. The link is patreon.com/ScottyDOnline. Go on over there, read what the campaign is all about, watch the video. If you feel so compelled afterwards and you want to get involved, I thank you for your support so very much. It makes my channel possible. Without your support, without your being there, I can't be here. It really is that simple. I don't do this for my health. I do this because I want to share things with you in the Techertainment community. So I hope you like this video. And until next month's comic book pull haul video, whatever you want to call it, I'll see you next time, Web World.